Hey, Amy.
Hi, Zach. How are you?
Very excited. How are you?
Excited.
It's my Friday
It
today.
is your birthday tomorrow.
It's pretty exciting.
I
Another
know.
year, another lap around the sun.
I know. That is exciting, actually.
Mm.
What are you going to do? I'm
Spending the day
asking you a
getting my
very loaded
wisdom teeth
question.
out. No, I will hopefully have a nice dinner tonight
Good.
before I start my fast to have surgery tomorrow on my wisdom teeth, which is only a 25-minute surgery. So I'm just telling myself that it's short-term pain for long-term gain.
Yeah. So, those of you that don't know the journey of Zach's wisdom teeth,
Mm.
these have been bothering him for probably 2 years, 18 months, 2 years.
Easy. Yep.
Finally, they're coming out. And the date that he chooses to take them out is his birthday.
Okay, that's not the truth. The date that I had chosen was the 1st of May. And then it turns out that one of my greatest friends is participating in a charity event on the 2nd of May that I want to go and watch. And there was some implications there. And I was like, I don't really want to have a massive head on that day and be in agony. I wouldn't have been attending. So I called the surgeon's office and I said, hey, I want to change my date. And they said, okay. The next date we could do would be late August. I said, oh, it's a bit far away. I don't really want to keep delaying this even further.
It's been
Uh,
2 years. What's another couple of months, Zach?
I said, anything sooner. And they said, yeah, the 10th of April. And I was like, oh, that's fantastic. I initially said no, and then I called them back and said, you know what, stuff it, just lock it in, be away from everybody on that day, and we'll celebrate the following week when it's not actually my birthday.
He wants to be knocked out and not even remember the day.
GA every birthday.
Maybe I should be doing that for my 40th coming up. Just forget that exists.
No, you got to rock the Medicare dress around town.
I'm having a birthday for my 40th, and the dress code is main character energy. Yeah, everybody knows what that is. That's just like go as glam as glam. Like, do you. Do your best. Zach has AI'd a picture of me in a dress with Medicare cards, basically. Um, and he's like, "Is this main character energy enough?"
Well, something we talk about. We talk a lot more about Medicare than we talk about glamming yourself up.
That's true.
Hmm.
Probably not the idea that I was going for, but, like, definitely an option, and I will consider it, thank
I
you.
might walk in as a stethoscope or a
Just as a
syringe.
human stepstone.
A syringe, big syringe
Hopefully that is
costume.
not all you're wearing, because I do want my guests to stay.
Okay, that's fine. It is May. We could be doing flu vaccines. I'll bring a nurse and a doctor with me. I might add in there, bring your
That'd be
BYO
fun.
Medicare card and a consent form. Thank you very much. Cheers, guests.
Wow. Love the way you're thinking, though. I mean,
Main
that is a
character
great
energy.
business opportunity.
Good way to make money at your birthday, I reckon.
You
I
could
won't
paper
be
it
making
out.
any of mine. I'll give you the tip.
No, you'll be knocked out. Oh gosh, what are we talking about today, Zach? Because,
Good question.
well, I was thinking we could segue into it, but I mean, I'm
Let's
happy
segue
to
into
talk
it.
through.
Talking about giving flu vaccines at birthdays, today we want to talk about risk. That would be a big
Mm.
risk. That's a non-clinical environment, consent, bit questionable. So definitely a high-risk environment.
Intoxication.
Intoxicated doctors, probably not a great idea. However, as long as there's a Medicare card present, we can definitely work
Can we
on
put a
something.
disclaimer in here? We are not going to do that. That is not
Absolutely
something
not.
that we would ever do. We don't
No.
condone it.
No,
So,
this here is called showbiz. That's what we're doing. Yeah. Just,
we're
I don't know.
showbiz.
This is showbiz
We're on
outfits.
air.
On air. See? The sign's up there. I don't have one. I'm not as special. But today's conversation all about risk, and when is too much risk overwhelming for the
Yeah.
business to take, and what do you do when you're talking about HR guidelines and processes and policies when you have perhaps staff members or contractors that are overstepping that line of risk where the practice and practitioners become liable for things that perhaps is managed at the front desk. How do you deal with those things, and where do you draw that line in the sand?
Kind of fits in the same realm, Zach, as a practitioner putting through a certain item number that they want to use. It may or may not be correct. The front desk takes it upon themselves to change that item number, and then that's audited, for
Mm,
instance.
mm.
It's really the doctor's responsibility to charge through the correct item number, and it's not the responsibility of the front desk to change it. Um, but it is a responsibility, I think, in our practice. I deem that to be the responsibility to bring it up with the doctor if you can identify a potential problem, not changing it without the approval of the doctor. So this
Being a
kind of
being a
falls in that,
whistleblower.
yeah,
Yeah.
be a whistleblower. Be the net, I always say. Be the net that catches the incorrect, the possible rejections, the incorrect billings. Now, what I'm actually referring to and the things that we want to bring up today, because there are changes coming with the assignment of benefit.
There are.
We don't know what they are yet, but we do have an inkling it's got something to do with my Medicare, and it's intertwined some which way.
Trying to simplify the model. Easiest way to
When
put it.
that comes, yeah, when that comes out, because I mean, we were just talking before and having a bit of a giggle about all the different changes and the ways in which we used to do the assignment of benefit. I mean, when I was growing up, my mum would take the card in, put it on this machine, and they would have this carbon paper, and they'd like ram it across, and it'd make this god almighty noise, and she would sign it off, and that would be the assignment of benefit.
And then you'd jump in the horse and cart and you'd travel your way back home.
Okay, I'm not turning 60, I'm turning 40, all right?
Shots fired. Although you're right, Amy, we were talking about it, and I did happen to jump on and do a bit of a very quick version of research. Very quick. It wasn't anything in detail, so I can't bring any valuable points. However, looking back on the assignment of benefit, it's been around for a long time. Like the whole time, the whole existence of Medicare, there has been a form of assignment of benefit.
Correct, for bulk billing. So people in a bulk billing clinic should know and be very aware of assignment of benefit in somewhat form. If there was massive grey areas over COVID, no assignment was needed. Telehealth came into play. There was a big grey area for what we would do in terms of assignment of benefit. Then all of a sudden it came back into play and they said, right, here's the way to do it. So they brought in the DB4 form. And we also then had HotDoc coming into play, or AutoMed coming into play with the telehealth, and then doing an automatic assignment of benefit through to the patient and so forth. Tyro then got involved, and we can do it automatically on the Tyro machine by pressing a button within best practice, being integrated, and they could accept through that machine.
But just to clarify, those digital forms, the digital form of a DB4 form was done via Tyro through the Tyro terminal, but then the digital form that HotDoc and AutoMed had created was something that was not yet approved by Medicare. So it was something that clinics had defaulted to in an effort to capture some sort of consent from the patient, but it wasn't actually an approved form of approval, so of consent. So what practices then had to do was take that digital confirmation or that digital consent from the patient and do something with the initial DB4 form that came out of the printer. So what they're now moving towards, and that's one change that we do know about that is clearly communicated, is that obtaining that digital consent will be enough. So there will be no back-end process of having to muck around with the DB4 form. As long as you do have that digital consent on file, that'll be enough to capture that patient's consent. Your Tyro will be still standing as your digital consent. And then there's some other changes proposed in relation to, if the patient's My Medicare registered, there'll be long-standing consent that will, over a period of time, that'll link with that patient's My Medicare registration and so on. But those are things that are unconfirmed at this stage, and we sort of don't want to dive into them and then have to retrace our steps and find out where we left off. So,
because let's be honest, they'll come out the day before they're supposed to come into
absolutely
play, and then we'll start talking about it. Man.
Which is the tentative date is July this year. So July this year, we are expecting changes to the assignment of benefit process, and there is a whole assignment of benefit reform process. I actually had a great chat with one of the ladies that runs that team. You can reach out to them, have a great chat, some questions and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, if you're curious and want to have a look into that a little bit more, do your research and check it out ahead of the 1st of July.
I think there's going to be lots of those changes, not only just the increase in the Medicare rebate, but you're going to find that there's going to be more changes in relation to the My Medicare, the assignment of benefit,
Of course.
different item numbers, and in relation to that My Medicare registration. So lots of things that are coming. But the reason we're bringing this up today is not to tell you anything new, because we don't know anything that anyone else doesn't know at this point in time. And as soon as it hits our desk, we'll be on here on the blower, making sure everybody is made aware and discussing some of the, I guess, operational aspects of that and communication aspects of that. But one thing that has come to light for me, and we've spoken about this briefly before, is there is still a lot of practices out there that aren't doing anything for the assignment of benefit at this point in time. Whether they're a mixed billing clinic and they do the occasional bulk billing, they might do maybe 5 or 10 a day. They aren't doing anything. And when asked, it could be a big question mark. So if you are listening to this and there is nothing you're doing for assignment of benefit, it's not integrated into IRO, hot doc's not turned on, or automed's not turned on, and you're not doing a DB4 form, look into it. Assignment of benefit, lots of
Yeah.
information online. So get yourself up to date as of what needs to happen today.
Yep, the
Super
status
important.
quo. And if you're listening to this and you don't know what we're talking about, what the assignment benefit is, you need to retrace your steps back and go listen to more podcasts. We did an episode, I think it was episode 29 from memory,
Oh,
Amy.
nice early one.
That was all about the assignment of benefit, what it is, introducing the model, because it came clear to us that there was a lot of clinics that weren't aware of what the actual process is. So episode 29 of the Practice Partners podcast. Otherwise, do some research, because if you are a clinic that is doing any form of bulk billing, whether that's full bulk billing, partially bulk billing, or just the odd bulk bill, you should be assigning the benefit.
So what we want to talk about today is what happens when you're educating your front desk staff, whether they're brand new, whether they've been there for a while, whether you are a practice that really doesn't do anything for assignment of benefit right now, but you're going to introduce it. And the front desk staff add risk to the practice by just not following direction. It does happen in a number of things throughout the practice. We had a laugh just prior to this starting the podcast because our third-party account process, we just have people that just do not follow the process and do not send invoices out. They will create an invoice and not send it out. I don't know, maybe they think the third-party provider will wake up one morning and go, oh, Innovate Health sent me an invoice. Better pay it. ESP, I know exactly what the invoice number is and how much it is. Like, I don't know why that goes through someone's head, but whether it's attention to detail, whether it's lack of time, whether it's, I'm not sure. Look,
Care factor.
care factor. Look, I don't want to say that, but yeah, care factor.
Relevant. Yep.
So there's SOPs. And if you came into my practice, sat down at the front desk, and I gave you the SOP manual, if you were a monkey, a giraffe, a dog or a cat, you could run the front desk using the step-by-step guides. That's how simple we make it. And we do that because that's what we pride ourselves on. That's what we teach at Practice Partners. So if I wasn't doing it myself, I wouldn't be able to teach anyone else how to do it. So that's what we pride ourselves on. We have a very strict induction process of 4 days. So if you're getting through that induction process and you're still not doing the assignment of benefit, whether you think, oh, that patient just left, which also is an excuse, or they don't stick around because they're so busy, they don't come. But if I see it's bulk billed, I just process it through and store it. No, that's not the way to do it. So you need to be able to capture who's coming out, who's going in. Make sure that if the front desk isn't flowing like it should, changing that up so that you can do the assignment of benefit. We've had lots of excuses over the time.
All of them.
Oh, I didn't get trained on that. We can see you've ticked it off on your induction document. So let's retrain. So I think the first thing is establishing, is it a training issue or is it a discipline issue? Is it that they just haven't been trained? And I love to just fall back on that or in the first instance because you don't know. If I didn't do the training myself, and if I did, I'd know I'd rule that out. But if it's something that they haven't been trained on and they were unsure of at the time, but thought the best thing to do is tick that off, retrain.
Yep. Exactly.
First and foremost.
You can't confirm what people are retaining either. You might train things a couple of times, but if the retention's not there, you need to address that. So,
and quite often people learn in different ways, right? Some people will learn by reading the SOP. Some people will learn by doing it over and over and repetitive. So it's important to understand for us as owners and the practitioners as well in the practice, we want to know that our front desk are doing things in a compliant sense, especially when assignment of benefit, there's $1,000 fine. I think it's gone up actually. And also
Probably.
3 months jail time.
$1,000 fine per patient, actually, it is.
Per patient.
Yep.
And they don't mix their words in regards to that. That is it's online, it's under a general note, and it is there for everybody to see. So it's under penalties, I think it is, Medicare penalties. So if you're not aware of those penalties, bring it up. I actually give it to my front reception and say, this is what happens if we don't do this. Are you prepared to put the practice at risk and the practitioner at risk by not doing this?
You'd look quite good in orange or green, whatever prison they take you to. If it's that green that you're wearing today, it looks quite good. Otherwise, a nice orange number would go all right. So
I don't want to put the risk, and this is where we say,
Fire away,
when is
guys.
risk
Let's
too
just let
risky?
them all go. Don't do the assignment of benefit. Let's get her in there.
It's not funny, Zach.
I'm sure they
I
still do
I
video
need to
calls.
sleep at
Take
night.
take your pod mic in there. We'll get these podcasts punched
I
out
mean,
from
I
the
could
prison
probably
cell.
still keep up to date. Do you get an internet in the jail? Like, is there internet in jail? Um, anyway,
It's
what
not
I'm
funny.
saying
It's
is at
not a
what
laughable
point
manner.
it's not
It's
a
a serious thing
laughing
that
matter, and
the
something
admin
that
team should
keeps
be
me
aware
up
of.
at night,
Yeah,
Zach, is thinking, is my front reception team, is my management across it? Is my front reception team, do they understand the why behind the things we do? Are they doing it every day? We put a lot of trust into these front reception team, right?
absolutely. Yeah,
They're a very core aspect of the business. I think sometimes the things that we do pull up and we do rectify, if the doctors were aware of everything that we do, would probably share the same concerns that I have at times. But that's our role. That's what we do. That's what we get a service fee for, is to be that safety net for the practitioners and their registration.
yeah, for sure.
But as a business owner, what point? What point is risk too much risk? When
Mm.
is it too risky to hold that staff member in that position when you've gone through training? We've put it down to they just don't care.
Yeah, which is quite a sad realization.
HR, their work doesn't care. I'm sorry. But if you go and call any HR line and you say to them, this is what's happening, look, we've retrained, we've sat them down, they'll say, do a performance management plan. I'm sorry, but what a waste of time. And every day they're in there, they're creating more risk.
Hmm.
We have to make sure we're following the direction. So induction, documenting every training process, getting onto it early is my advice.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's important to make sure that risk is calculated. Be aware of what risk is present in the practice. I mean, part of your accreditation is to have a risk management process and to have risk policies and procedures and processes in place. If you don't, timely reminder to go and get those in place. But if you do have them in place, perhaps review them. Check out what's on the risk matrix. What is it that you're aware of
I
as a
think that should be
calculated
on
risk?
everybody's risk matrix. I
For
mean, in the new
sure.
accreditation standards, we have to have these live documents. So put it in there. Assignment of benefit is a live risk every day. You miss
Every
one,
single patient.
you're at
Yep,
risk.
absolutely.
And I know I'm being a bit dramatic, unlike me, really. Um,
No comment.
it's the things I think about. I don't know if
Among many
you're.
others.
My brain's pretty active.
We're lucky she doesn't tell us everything she thinks about.
Okay, Zach. These are the things that I think about. I think, okay, I pick up that one person. Sometimes I go in, and this is me just being a bit OTT. If I go into any of my clients, I look at their online claiming batching, and if I see item 23s in the online claiming batching, that's my number one. Somebody is not assigning the benefit. And I'll go through and I'll go, that patient, this patient, what happened here? And a lot of the times it's those excuses, oh, I forgot, or that person walked out, or they couldn't press yes on the machine, so I stored it, or they didn't know what it meant. I've had so many excuses. I could probably write an A4 piece of paper. But at the end of the day, those are the risks that we have to absorb as an
They're
owner.
real. That's right.
And that's where I am now getting to the point where when is risk too much risk?
Yeah.
And what can we do about that risk? Because you can't just let them go tomorrow.
Well, the challenging thing is Fair Work doesn't really care about the risks associated with keeping a staff
There's a
member.
clause that says, well, if they cause a risk to the practice in that sense, there is clauses to say that there's a sackable offence. You know, there's a level of sackable offences. Can you do a quick search for me? There are, I think theft is one of them.
Yeah.
And it's things that we could actively say, but when you look at that and you say, if it's a compliance and legislation issue like this, can we sack them straight away? But we need to be shown we don't want a fair work case. And yes, let's say this person has been in the business for over their probation period of say 3 or 6 months, depending on what your probation period is. So this person has been in the business and you go, well, what options do I have? There's live risk here. There needs to be options, but sometimes you do need to have a look at, well, if it was me and I had a live risk like that and that person just said, I just can't be bothered doing it, or it's not for me. I mean, the writing's on the wall. I think they wouldn't be lasting too long in the position. They don't understand the full aspect of their position and I guess the importance of their position within compliance and legislation, I would be taking them off that front desk straight away.
Yeah. You have to. You have no choice. Absolutely. Just on the sackable offences, or as per Fair Work, it's immediate dismissal.
Thank you.
Amy's slang for sackable offence was quite amusing, though. The examples provided are theft or fraud, physical violence or threat, serious breach of safety procedures, being intoxicated at work, refusing lawful and reasonable directions, significant breach of confidentiality, or sexual harassment or serious bullying. Those are under the immediate dismissal examples. And then you've got some conduct issues as well, which require warnings first. And those things like repeated lateness or absenteeism, poor attitude or disrespect, not following procedures, and minor breaches of policy.
So broad, isn't it? So in the first instance for the instant dismissal, fraud,
Theft or fraud. Yep.
is fraud classed as, and this happens a lot, oh, Mrs. Jones left, so I just pressed yes on the tyro machine for her assignment of benefit.
So I would say that's a fraudulent transaction, yes. However, is there a scope of what amount of
That's right.
fraud? Is it that this
Well,
is
they're so vague, aren't they?
correct? Absolutely. It's a case-by-case basis on everything with Fair Work.
But yet is it a case-by-case basis when we get audited and all of a sudden we're up for that shared debt recovery and everybody's involved? The doctor then goes, Amy, your front desk staff didn't do what they're supposed to do. And I show them the SOP and say, yes, well, Mrs. Jones on the front desk did what she needed to do.
No, I wouldn't say it's case by case. I think that would be then making sure that hopefully that doctor that you'd have to go to jail with also looks good in orange. That's
This is the I'm going to get riled up here because this is the risk factor, right? This is where there was another area there that they did not in the instant dismissal. One of the latter points of instant dismissal was
significant
around
breach of confidentiality or refusing
Right
lawful and
before
reasonable
that.
directions.
Reasonable direction. Very reasonable. It's compliance and legislation, but not doing it once, twice. How many times do they not have to follow it? Is it that we have to show that we've trained them? Yes, that is definitely in Fair Work's guidelines. That's where our induction comes in. I like to go a second step and we get them to get re-inducted in the practice if we're not following direction and there's a level of risk involved. But if they've done that twice and they're still not doing it, surely that follows into that point.
Maybe we need a member of Fair Work to come in and have a bit of a conversation with us.
I think we should because this is where and I quite often, and not that we have a lot of HR issues, but when we get HR advice, as an owner, at times I'm deflated. It's very much like our hands are tied.
Frustrating, for sure.
It can be frustrating because we have these staff members that we do the right thing by. We pay them on time. We pay them for the hours worked. We generally pay above award, give them good working environment, great culture. And this risk presents itself and we really have nowhere to go. Except what I would say is feeling empowered enough to say if it is that significant in terms of risk and there is something that is putting the practice in an audit position, getting them off the front desk is important and eliminating that until we can have the confidence to put them back on the front desk and to have that responsibility back again. And if that's not there for them, then perhaps looking at what's next in terms of performance management out of the company together. Because there's lots of things where people they double bill something and the rejection might happen. And yes, that's causing additional work across the business, but it's not a risk factor. The rejection happens. We then write it off. Yes.
There's a reason that rejections process exists, and that's why.
Exactly. So that isn't, whilst it's annoying for the person managing rejections, if it's the same person doing that over and over and over again, it's not presenting the risk that, say, not assigning a benefit does, where there is actually a penalty in place.
Yeah.
Do I know anyone that's been audited? No. Does that mean audits don't happen?
Absolutely not.
No. And that's something to be aware of. If you're an owner
Of
and a
course.
manager and you've got, whether you're a medical director or best practice, go into the batching section, online claiming if you're in best practice, and jump on and have a look what's in the batch. That'll tell you what's happening with the assignment of benefit and whether that's actually happening, because that's one of the key signs there. You could do spot checks as well throughout the day, but that's one of the things. The reason I'm highlighting it today is because there are going to be some changes and we what I always look at is what are we doing now and what do those changes mean for now and then?
Yeah, what will they
How
impact?
are we doing now correctly? And
Yeah.
that's where this brought up that, hey, there's a level of risk here that whilst we assess on a regular basis, there are some consistent problems that might arise. And in practices that aren't doing it at all, that's a significant risk. Please get your head around it now because the now is important to do. Don't just wait for the changes to happen and think, I'll just pick it up then. Do the changes now. And whilst you may have never heard of an audit taking place, audits do happen. And I've never had an audit done on one of my practices, but I have had clients approach me and say, can you help us? So audits do happen.
And that's absolutely important. Having awareness around these things that are going, like the changes are coming. We know that for sure. The changes will definitely take place. And as a result of that, there will be other things that need to change in your business. So being aware of the back end is definitely important.
Yeah, for sure.
We've brought a lot of context in today's 27-minute quick stint, Amy.
I know. Look, it was a bugbear, and it definitely sometimes these are the things. And like we say, we bring real, we bring raw, the things that actually that we see that we approach within our clinic or clients' clinics. That's what we talk about. So you're not alone. The risk does exist. Assess it, and then see what we can do to move forward.
The risk
Let us
does
know.
exist.
Yeah, it let us know if you needed help or guidance in regards to assignment of benefit. If you're not doing it, and you need some information, you can't find any. Please do reach out to us because we have lots of information. But doing a quick Google search, you'll find that there is lots of information out there.
Yeah, check out the practice manager networks and hubs and speak to your PHN and have those sort of conversations with other people in that area because everyone has their own way of designing their systems. But something that works for you in your practice is important. Thanks for another one, Amy. That's
Thank
another great
you.
episode, and we'll see you all in the next one.
See you guys, not in orange.
Not in orange or green, maybe, because green is in some prisons in Victoria.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, can't say I know that. Okay,
Later.
bye.